IndyCar auto racing. TV has made us accustomed to a quick-cut montage of speed and danger. But outside the edit room in pit row, you'll find the real nuts and bolts of the operation.
This is the epitome of a team sport. A lot of people look at it as an individual who's just driving the car, but you know, the guys that are working on the car and the engineers and the management are really what's holding the whole program together.
13 team members working with surgical precision. Using state-of-the-art technology, as well as the tools of a layman, on one of the most sophisticated pieces of machinery you'll ever find.
These guys are very, very involved and very proud of what they do. And they know when they make a mistake, it can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or maybe somebody's life.
To see them on race day for a couple of hours is to see only the end product. But to spend an entire weekend with them is to see a car created and recreated by a team in an elusive chase for speed.
A race car is never fast enough, so you're always trying to make it faster if you can.
Friday morning, roughly 48 hours till racing. The car, a Roger Penske design with a turbocharged Chevy V8 engine. It is a little over 15 feet long and just 32 inches high. It weighs 1,550 pounds. Sponsored by Craftsman Tools, managed by RC Aero Racing. It is just before today's morning practice session. The car is rolled out to be fueled. The car runs on a very high octane methanol. The fuel burns very clean, making it environmentally responsible compared to the average gas guzzler. But because the fuel is so highly refined, there is danger. It burns entirely clear. If there is a fire, you can't see it. On pit row, final preparations are made. This is the premier season for the Craftsman racing team. And thus, every session is a chance to learn more about the personality of the car. The Craftsman driver is Mark Smith, a 25-year-old rookie. He is one of the top young prospects on the IndyCar circuit this year. He too goes through final prep, checking pedal adjustments and steering position.
Okay, we're on the 3 minute. Take ignition.
Team manager Mark Weida is a man in perpetual motion.
You get a chance to see the Goodyear guy, we could use temperatures the next time he comes in. Keep your eyes on him. Thanks. I'm keeping track of every lap that we run, the times that we run. Then also I'm keeping track of comments that Mark makes, and then I'm keeping track of all the changes we make. I document everything that we do out there, so then at the end of the session we can sit in the truck, relax, go over a track map, and make sure that we're, everybody's in agreement that we're going the right direction. That's what I feel about it.
Weida is working closely with engineering consultant Gordon Coppin, a specialist in translating the driver's comments about car behavior into specific mechanical changes. With IndyCars, every track is different. Different layouts, different surfaces. Tracks can even change by the hour depending on the heat. Because it's extremely sensitive, the car must be adjusted accordingly.
A very good responsive car like this Penske will respond to, shall we say, 10,000ths of an inch of ride height adjustment or a wing adjustment of 1/16 of an inch. So there are literally hundreds of adjustments we can do on the car.
And young Mark Smith is 7th quick at the moment.
While his times are good, Smith is having difficulty with oversteering in the turns. The rear end of the car losing grip, what you and I would call a fishtail. Part of the reason seems to be tire pressure. They'll put on 4 new ones and adjust the setting.
Let's drop a pound out of the front and 1 pound out of this rear. Okay?
Another problem is with boost out of the turns. The car is not accelerating quickly into the straightaways. Weida notes this for work back in the garage area.
Everything is a compromise. You know, it's very easy to go a lot quicker in a turn by adding a lot of wing and creating more downforce in a car. Well, you create more downforce and it creates more drag. So on the long straightaways, you're slower. So you're always you're always walking that fine line of compromise to try to get the optimum setting for each racetrack.
The checkered flag comes out, ending the morning session.
It's very important that the driver can communicate. The worst thing for an engineer is a driver who comes in and says the car's rubbish, and you don't know what sort of rubbish it is. Mark comes in and he's very precise about what he needs to go quicker.
What I found with the new tires is we had more understeer at the apex, and the rear kept stepping out more.
Debriefing happens immediately after each session, while the thoughts are still fresh in Smith's mind.
It seems to me that, you know, the cure would have been to
Players Limited, Toyota Atlantic.
more negative
You're
in the right
1 hour
rear
away.
or toe, whatever or what you put in.
Yeah, so
Had to go.
This communication is critical.
what we try to do is dissect each corner. We may ask them, for instance, going into the turn, how is the car? Through the center, are you off the brakes? Are you coming back to power? You know, how is it under braking? If, you know, is the steering sensitive? Things like that, that he will give us feedback, and then from there, then we can collectively discuss it and then make our changes from there.
It's back to the garage for those very changes. They will adjust the toe on the wheels, angling them in ever so slightly to put more rubber on the road. Other changes in the mixture of air and fuel should help acceleration out of the turns. This is not an uncommon sequence. For each race, every team tunes and retunes their car for optimum performance. Most will wind up using Craftsman tools. Craftsman paid to be called the official tool of IndyCar racing, but most teams would have used them anyway.
Bobby Rahal was last year's PP Cup champion. Derek Walker, Scott Goodyear's team, they were running the Craftsman tools. Of course, A.J. Foyt, who does the commercials for Craftsman, is using the Craftsman tools ourselves. So, you know, and then also, too, privately, just the mechanics that work for other teams. There's quite a few mechanics that are working with the Craftsman tools. It's a very well-respected name just because of the product that it produces. You know, anything that you've got with a lifetime guarantee, and you know the way they stand behind their product, number one. The other thing is that there's a saying, you need the proper tool for the proper job, and the Craftsman tools have always been the proper tool for the proper job.
And that creates a vital link between race fans and teams.
The guy that is wrenching on his 65 Mustang in his garage, you know, can come out here and see, you know, the guy's using the same tools that he's using in his garage, and you know, and that they're the tools that are good to work on a $500,000 IndyCar and work on his 1965 Mustang.
The Craftsman team is unique in that it offers a chance for fans to become a member of the Craftsman Club. Club members are able to get what amounts to a backstage pass, meeting with the crew and discussing the finer points of racing. One of the things they'll learn is that this is no low-budget operation. Arciero owner Frank Arciero Sr. explains.
We have, 13 people full-time employed to work on these cars, to make the preparation, the reservation, the mechanic, the engineering, the electronic man, the guy who wipes the wheels. And these guys are not slouches up there. It's not the guys that you pay them $4.5 an hour. These guys you get $1,000, $1,500 a week.
And that's just payroll.
A 1993 rolling chassis without an engine is $450,000. You need, you know, 2 or 3 of those, and then you need your 10 engines at $120,000 a piece, and so you can wrap up a couple $1 million just in equipment every year.
Saturday morning, adjustments made, the team is ready to get back out on the track for another practice run before this afternoon's qualifications. A specialized computer system monitors the car's condition while it's out on the track, while an anxious crew checks the car's speed, about to find out if the car has improved with all the changes. They aren't anxious for long. Within minutes, Smith pulls back into the pits. Something is wrong. He's having trouble with the clutch. It's very loose.
Ready to check the pedal? Okay.
attention of the TV crews.
We'll see what happens, but Bob said that there's a lot of fluid in the back of the car. So, like, we might have had a massive seal failure this time.
They will have to examine the entire clutch system after this session, but for now, the car is still safe to drive, and there is a lot left to be tested. As Smith heads out, Weida tries to pinpoint the problem.
Did he get a lot of air out of it?
There was some. There wasn't a lot, but there was some.
Okay.
It's hard to imagine going 200 miles an hour into curves when you're not completely happy with the car. Smith says it's all perspective.
It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, I think that it becomes relative. If I was to have to sit behind a baseball plate and catch 100-mile-an-hour pitches from somebody, it would be intimidating to me. I've been at this for so long that it really isn't, the danger really isn't an issue.
The public's fascination with danger is just one of the misconceptions about racing.
People don't understand that the amount of stress that a person's body's going through a 2-hour, through the duration of a race with all the lateral G's. I mean, you're losing 5 or 6 pounds of fluids during a race, and you're, dealing with temperatures of 130 degrees inside your helmet. Your heart rate's up around 165, 170.
Racing is as much a sport of stamina as speed. The team is able to get a few good practice laps in before Smith has to come in again.
He hit debris, cut tires. So let's change the whole set.
What else do we got out here for practice tires? What do you set do we got?
Set two.
Why don't we put set 2 on? Fuel level that we're keeping it at, maintaining? Maintaining at 20. Okay.
There's still a problem in the turns, but now the problem is understeering, the front end not holding in acceleration. The track has changed since yesterday. There is now more tire rubber on the surface. To create the perfect driving machine is a constant search for balance.
Just trying to be able to get a good balance to the car. What I mean by that is what the word means of balance. Just to be able to have a car that is handling in a way that you're able to carry the most wheel speed and the most energy, and to be able to get the power down onto the ground and get this piece of equipment moving forward as quickly as you can.
The Saturday morning session is over. There is a rush of activity in the garage area. The back end comes off in search of the clutch problem. There is only an hour and a half until qualifying, and the crew is doing some major dissection. Into the transmission, they locate the problem. It is a faulty clutch seal, as expected.
Did Bob bring by a turbo back at Snail?
Yeah.
Or Bob right there.
To help the problem with pickup out of the turns, Weida wants to change part of the turbo system.
Where is the turbo? Is it inside? Okay.
The snail section of the turbo system compresses air, forcing the air-fuel mixture to the engine. This slightly smaller snail should get the power down more quickly out of the turns.
Okay, boys. Got it? Cold side's a little bit warm. It's not too bad, though.
The crew is finishing up in less than an hour. The speed at which an entire car can be gutted and put back together is astonishing, especially when you consider the sophistication of the machinery.
They're state-of-the-art, and really they are. They're a fighter plane on wheels. The carbon fiber technology that the tubs are made out of, it is very much like an airplane as far as the stresses that are involved and that are put onto the car. It's a lot of the aircraft technology and engineering we utilize.
And yet, with all that high-tech design, the car still maintains a personality of its own.
You got to call it, baby sometimes or whatever, We try not to cuss in front of it or cuss at it, Don't want to hurt its feelings or anything.
They have coaxed their baby as much as they can. It is time to push for their best lap time in qualification.
we can run into the middle 53s. I think that should put us in the top 10, and I think that's where we want to be.
Hopes are high as the time obsession begins. Again, the crew waits for the speed. But something is wrong. Mark is back in. There's a small fire with the new turbo snake. It's oil burning, not methanol. While the fire is doused, a red flag comes out on the track, buying them some valuable time.
How do you say everything was? Just too much rear wing, you thought?
I think so, yes. Yeah, he said it understeered from the apex out.
Let these guys go and get some clear track.
Goodyear, no Fabby's coming out. Fittipaldi, everybody's coming out right now. Let's go ahead. Hold on a second. Okay, you're clear. Sullivan's coming out. Okay, you're clear.
As qualifying begins again, Smith pushes hard. He can't get the times. Still, a problem with oversteer in the first part of the turns, but the big problem is the understeer at the bottom of the turns. With just minutes left, Weida calls for one last adjustment. To help the understeer, they will reduce the downforce on the rear wing. They want to put on a smaller rear wicker, a flap on the rear wing, creating more downforce. But it will take too long to go to the truck to get. Weida decides to run without any wicker.
With so little time left, we'll just give you some more front wing. There's no time.
Okay.
There's only 9 minutes left. Do you want to do tires or not?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Half a turn more front wing.
Okay, you're clear. Okay, there's no rear wicker, Mark. Took it all the way off.
As Mark pulls out, they've got 7 minutes. It is at times like this, in the heat of it, that Smith must keep his cool.
Emotion can help a lot in a lot of sports, you know, like weightlifting or, you know, for those last couple punches in a boxing match. However, in auto racing, it's imperative that you're able to go about it as analytical as possible.
The emotional have their eyes on the clocks. He runs his fastest lap, 54 seconds flat.
Where'd that put him? 14th? Come on, dude.
A tenth of a second will move him up 3 spots. It is not to be. They wind up 14th.
What'd you guys get on the clock?
54 flat.
Yeah.
You needed another 100th of a second to pick off Robbie Gordon.
The car is pushed into the garage, where it will receive a completely new engine for race day. Almost every aspect of the car will be looked at before it is put up and stored until the call tomorrow.
Ladies, gentlemen, start your engines.
I think we've raised some eyebrows, which is fun. You know, it's fun messing with the big boys, you know, and with them not really knowing who we are, you know, no, I think that we are somewhat of an underdog just because we're unknown, you know, and everything's been so established over the last few years of who wins the IndyCar races, and now we're kind of poking our head in there in the top 10, and they're kind of like, you know, wondering who are these guys?
The first year is always one of learning, building relationships, and getting a feel for the lay of the land. The experience will be invaluable, but it is their love of the chase that will ultimately get them to the winner's circle.
I love motor racing for the competition first and foremost, but I really have a genuine feeling for the sport. I mean, a genuine love for it, and I think that that type of passion for a particular sport or for whatever you're doing as your livelihood is important to be able to excel at it.